here we have our character broadsheets. We make references to characters past and have invited characters from previous campaigns into the current runs, but with no context, the legends that many of these characters became would be lost to time. So I wanted to take time to talk to each player about a character that they played to keep the legends alive and to possibly hold their memories hostage so that way I can leverage them against the fresh faces of our adventures. So this time, we're actually, once again, like we covered Nigel with Kyle. That's where we left off, was Nigel and Kyle. And we get to kind of do a similar thing with John Ryder and Bruno. So
Yes.
Bruno is currently alive, as you can tell. Smile for the camera. No, John Ryder is currently alive, but this is the second time that you've played John Ryder, right? So
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
let's take it back on the way back machine just a little bit. Do you remember when you first started playing with our group, like fucking 6 years ago or 5 years ago, something like that?
I was gonna say no way. It was 6 years ago. It was at least, let's see,
like
20. I'm making 2018, late 2018, early 2019. I want to say. No wait,
4 years ago.
I know who would know. I know exactly who would know because Kate started working there when I first met Kyle. So I will give you that answer in 16 seconds.
Okay. Setting precedents.
It was, I'm pretty sure it was 20. No, it might be 2018.
Was it when Amelia was born?
No.
I don't remember. Ooh, you know what? I could probably let me check my let me just check my campaign log. When I started the actual campaign, because he was only in like what, 4 sessions in, give or take. 2019.
Yep, late 2019.
Was it late 2019?
It would have been not too late. Middle
Middle
2019.
It would have been like April.
Yeah.
I'm fairly positive because I think I started
a year at least.
Yeah, April or May, something like that. Because I think you came in. John came in pretty early. I think it was like maybe 3 or 4 sessions in. John Ryder like became a human being. But before that, so nobody ever got the story about how Kyle talked you into coming into the group.
Mm-hmm.
I need you to tell me what you can remember from when that happened, because all I remember was Kyle one day going, I brought the D&D books in and I showed one of my friends at work. Dude, tell me how that whole thing kind of started.
So,
Yes, please be candid as possible. I don't care how embarrassing it is for either party.
So I just remember Kyle started working at the store because he fucked up his leg or something. I don't know. And he was up front greeting, telling, "Hey, how's it going? Take up a seat, whatever." And that's also around the same time that Kate started working there. Me and Kyle kind of hit it off. We would always talk whenever we take a lunch break every once in a while. And then I started noticing whenever I'm helping out a customer, and I would see the front desk, I would always see either Kyle or the other guy, always chatting it up with Kate, and I'm like, these motherfuckers. This is way before we started dating, by the way. Way before we were friends, but I'm like, I don't know why, but I don't like these sacks of shit. Look at that, making her laugh, motherfuckers. I can make people laugh. And then Kyle kept telling me about D&D, kept telling me about, oh, you want a character? I'm like, listen, I would, D&D sounds like a really jolly old time. Maybe I don't have the time for it. All right? And, passively saying like, maybe.
Yeah. Doing the non-committal thing that everybody does. Yeah, I got you.
And then Kate comes in and she just says like, he really wants you to play D&D. He really wants you to play D&D.
No fucking way.
Like, he really wants to play D&D. Maybe it'd be fun. Doesn't sound like a bad time, so I'm like, okay. I'll give it a try. I'll give it a try. And then I remember telling him, like, what do I need to know? And he just pops out the fucking character sheets. I'm like, oh boy. Here we
No
go.
fucking way. Okay. That's very interesting. Yeah, man, that he was talking to us about at the time, he was talking to us about, oh, I got this friend from work that I think would be really good in our game, and he said that he would be interested sometime. Which is not untrue.
I was interested. D&D was always one of those many
Full
things.
disclosure,
I'm like, yeah.
I was like, I don't know if we can fit anybody else in here. As you can tell, we're already like, I mean, we've got a schedule, we've got our thing, and that was when you started playing. We were like, all right, yeah, let's we kind of already have like, because meeting new people in a D&D group is rough.
Yep.
Because we already have our inside jokes. We already know, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah,
Like-
yeah. I remember the first few ones. I'm like, this will take some time, but I can do this. I can do this.
Yeah, I remember because we were like, it was a different time, we'll call it. some of the jokes were a little blue, but yeah. Oh my god, that's funny. So okay, I gotta know, honest opinion, day one, when you're sitting down, you and Kyle had already workshopped John Ryder at work. He, with Kyle's knowledge of the rules, building out your character, doing all of these things, you sit down to play and we start playing. What was your honest opinion of the first session that you played with our group?
Rough as fuck. Because you guys, you all through, it was Dan playing at the time over the mic? Okay,
he was
so
there. He was there. Dan
was he there? Because I remember, I specifically remember the one time. Didn't he just came in for the last session?
Right.
When you brought out that big giant dragon? I remember that.
No. Okay. You came in, I think, session 3 or 4 when they were at the festival, and then Dan came in at like session 6 when you guys were going to the big, whatchamacallit. Okay. Oh boy,
yeah, we
oh
were
boy,
at a
Joe.
festival, and then I think I remember I was like trying to trick Kyle's character into fucking that hefty large barmaid.
Yeah. That's right. Olga. That's right. Oh my god, that just unlocked some memories. All right.
Oh yeah, I remember that. So, but yeah, I was, because you guys, all four, it was you, Amanda, Dan, and Josh, and Kyle. So all 5 of you knew exactly what the fuck you were doing, right? You were playing something that's as simple. Like you really had no problem compared to me, because I'm like, oh, okay, so I gotta focus. I just gotta memorize roughly what I'm doing. I gotta picture what I'm doing.
Oh my god, that's awesome.
Yeah, but it was rough in the beginning, but again, the more you play throughout the night, it gets a little easier.
Right. There's the initial discomfort of like, all right, I know, like, because at that time I think I was standing up with Amelia and the baby Bjorn, like,
yeah, that's right, you
playing
were
D&D with a baby, like, all right, here we go, and I'm like, all right, go ahead. I'm like pacing back and forth in the living room. I'm like, okay, go ahead and roll this and do that and so on and so forth. Yeah.
You were doing the traditional D&D of like, you're kind of like in the center, like you have the book over you, and we have the table.
And everybody was right. That's awesome. So from that point, you have developed at least a somewhat of a taste for our Saturday night games. Otherwise, you probably would have given us all the finger and like walked off. True. And so that's very true. So when you like, obviously you developed a taste for the hobby of playing role-playing games. You played in Josh's campaign, Kyle's campaign, several other systems ahead of that. And like, what is important to you? Like, what is it that you look to get out of it when we all get together? Is it have fun time? Is there anything as far as the actual game itself that you look to get out of when you sit down to play?
honestly, at the time when I was playing with you guys, I had no idea what to expect. Had no idea. But the more we played, the times that I got out of it were the times where, honestly, the funniest shit happened. Like, I have laughed several times playing D&D with you guys. I mean, Jesus
At
Christ!
least a handful of times over the last 4 years, 3 years. I
like
would hope
tricking
so.
like tricking Cal's character trying to fuck that barmaid, making fun of fucking Josh being a goddamn bird for what was it, Cal's campaign today? Yeah, he
Brave,
was
yeah.
fucking brave. Yeah, the whole mimic bullshit. Whew.
We'll end up getting into. I really want to talk to you about Fortis when we get to that point, but
and
it
the best one still being what I did to or what Kyle did in my absence. No, I was there. I was playing as John. It was Dan that wasn't there, so it was Kyle who was playing his character.
Oh,
And I
yeah.
got him. He was like, I mean, I go to him. I tell him, hey man, I bet you can't fuck that headless dragon.
One of my
Bet you
biggest
can't do
regrets.
that.
No, kidding. So, for what it's
Feel
worth,
bad for
Dan
him.
is
You feel
definitely.
very bad for him.
For what it's worth, Dan has definitely taken that on as like a yep, I did that. That's right, I did that. And every time he does that, you can see him look at Kyle. I did that. Anyways, so it is funny because that does kind of set the tone for John as a character. Is very much for the memes. John is a very for the lulz character, doing what his whim is.
That's true.
But before that, like, you've played enough to kind of know what you like and know what you don't like in a game session and in a game campaign about at this point. So what's something that you've wanted to do in a session that you haven't gotten to do yet? Because we've done a lot of shit, like a lot.
Well,
And is there anything in particular that you've been like, man, I really want to blah?
I was actually telling Josh this, but in our next campaign where we make new characters, I want to like really fully commit. Try to do as little jokes as possible, but I want to make a really like just an evil asshole. Like someone who has a mission, who has like, I'm going to do this. I don't fucking care about anyone else in my path. Like, I don't care what I have to sacrifice, what I have to do, what I have to kill. Like, it's just a very unlikable character.
That's good that you say that, because I'm fairly certain on Saturday we're gonna have a TPK, so that's great. We're already down a Josh. I mean a Gaul, and then Tomoe is gonna come in, and then it'll just be, I'm kidding, probably. Maybe, I don't know. My condolences for all of your characters that have died. So about John specifically. So John started in my first campaign and he's come back and is now kind of open-ended in my second campaign. But John Ryder, where did you get the name for John Ryder? Like, was it just like pulling it out of your ass, or was there like an actual thought process behind like wanting the name?
The John part was very like, okay, what's a very sailor type piratey name?
Right.
A bunch of them: John, Will, Bootstrap, and then with names, I'm just terrible at them. So I hate you, but I really hate you. But I was struggling with the last name. Okay, what do I do for the last name? And I'm trying to think, and then I see Kate watching Tangled, and the main character's name was Flynn Ryder. So I'm like, Ryder.
Shut the fuck up!
Ryder,
Really?
Ryder. Yep. So I'm like,
Oh
Ryder.
man,
I'll go with that.
these are the real hard-hitting questions that we all need to know. All right, good.
No one will ever know.
Yeah, until this goes on YouTube. So, so the class John Ryder was in V1. John Ryder was a swashbuckler rogue, and eventually you picked up some levels in artificer and whatnot. But mainly you played him as a swashbuckler. Now, was there a reason for that? Was it like I mean, obviously pirate, right? You wanted to play a bit of
Yeah.
a pirate, and I can only assume that Kyle had a bit of like oh well, that's what this would be,
Mhm.
right?
So, because I remember when I was building the character, obviously I was new, so I'm just gonna keep it as simple as I can, and I'll try something
It's a
that might
very
seem
good
cool.
idea.
So, human, just stick with human. What are the really ones recommended for new players? And there's like just regular warrior, sword and shield. He's recommended rogue, and he was telling me, well, we don't like any pirates, anything like quick, nimble, shoot someone with a gun, and then he recommended swashbuckler, pirate, and all that stuff.
And the rest is history for that. So
Yeah.
now I'm going to do a little bit of assuming, but I want you to tell me before I assume this. John Ryder as a character, like personality wise, and like his quirks and whatnot, when you played him in campaign 1, and even to the same extent in campaign 2, he has a very like a very upfront personality. He's a very extroverted person, right?
Yeah.
Tell me about John Ryder the pirate, like inspiration of, and how you intended to play him, like the character.
Mm-hmm. So at the time when I was making John Ryder, it was what do I want him out as a pirate? Do I want to make him just typical pirates, murder, pillage, loot, all that stuff? So at first it was like, let me start with kind of like just basically Jack Sparrow, right? I literally watched one of the movies, the second one, Dead Man's Chest. So
The best one.
and I'm like, okay, really one of the best one. And then from there, I'm like, okay, let me kind of like grab that, tone down all that,
Yeah.
because there was a lot of that. Just the whole whatever the fuck he did, tone that down and just kind of roll with it. And in the beginning, still not knowing, kind of like ironically fish out of water, just kind of like tread ground, kind of just read the mood, and then really naturally or unnaturally how John, like you said, became for the lols type of guy, to the point where I still don't know how or why I became so fixated on fucking grenades.
I do.
Okay, so I remember just going in the shop going like, "Ooh, what's that? You got any like bombs, grenades?" Yeah, sure, these. Like, okay, let me buy some grenades. What can go wrong?
I mean,
Like,
what can go wrong? No, yeah.
Still don't remember how that shit happened, but boy, I took advantage of that.
I mean, it was the campaign was very much most shops have just about anything you could possibly want.
I mean, Jesus, I dressed up as Flavor Flav. I remember that too.
Oh my god. I forgot all about that. Do you remember him dressing up as Flavor Flav?
We were all like disguised or something. We had to get information.
It was the heist, right?
Yeah, the heist.
It was the heist. He was fucking. Oh my god! Because
like,
you're supposed to be a very important person. That's for. Oh
and
my
I had
god!
to, and it was the secretary. I'm like, okay, I put the movie on her. Keep in mind, you look like fucking what's his face?
Flavor Flav.
Guy Fieri. You look like Guy Fieri with the frosted tips, Flavor Flav. I'm like, I do it anyway, and I rolled high, and you're like, she is drippy. He cannot stop looking at you.
Yeah. I mean, okay, so the penchant for being an agent of chaos, it was definitely something that I would consider John Ryder's like quirk, if anything. From the first time that you got your hands on a grenade, or really it was when it was the very introduction of your character, because I know that Kyle kind of wanted to help usher you in and kind of make it comfortable, so I know he kind of placed his character with your character like a lot.
Yeah, I remember him doing that a lot.
And so that kind of helped like curate the like, we can have fun, we can do whatever we want, yada yada yada, boom, here we go. And so I mean that I think that kind of definitely set the tone for John Ryder the wall felling grenadier, agent of
Oh,
chaos,
that was another good moment.
blowing up a fucking outhouse that was actually a secret entrance to a dinosaur fucking race.
Oh, I forgot about that.
I don't I think you may very well be the only person who forgot about that. Daniel has like I'm fairly positive that Daniel has like a dartboard with John Ryder's face where he's like, I'm gonna get my T-Rex, you son of a bitch, right? But that's fucking awesome. So okay, so John Ryder, campaign 1, you had him. Eventually, you guys got to the point where like you were just too damn powerful with a Bowie knife, and so
Right.
so Josh is just getting ready. So you guys just ended up having like so many levels dumped on you more or less all at once because we did huge gaps in time, like to kind of like set up the next thing and so on and so forth, that you ended up taking levels in Artificer, I believe, right?
Yeah, I had the I remember the little mini
You had the
tank
little
just rolling
turret?
around with me. Yeah, the little
Right.
turret.
So was there a reason for that, like, or was it just like, I think I want to mix it up?
Yeah, it was a mixture of mixing it up, and then obviously being you. I was asking Kyle like, okay, so hey, well, what are the other things? What can I do? He's like, oh, Artificer might be cool. I'm like, try Artificer. That seems cool. I read it up. I'm like, yeah, that might be something I like. And I forgot. Well, until I played John Ryder again, I forgot how fucking complicated that was.
Yeah,
Like I'm still getting used to Artificer.
Yeah, that class can be pretty wild. I mean,
Like,
just juggling all
you've
the
seen,
options.
like you've seen me struggling to remember, like, oh shit, I can do that, but in order to do that, I gotta make sure I have to do this. I have to prepare it. I'm like, oh,
Right. Yeah. There's so many options, and each one has like kind of timing with an Artificer that like you definitely want to maintain.
yeah. It is something I would honestly recommend for a little more advanced than me, especially at that time. Especially at that time.
I mean, it is what it is. I think Amanda even picked up a level of Wizard with Celia, and that was one level was good enough for her of just wizards, let alone being able to make a whole bunch of other shit. So, when you made John Ryder, obviously you didn't really know what to expect or anything like that.
Mhm.
Did you have like a goal for him, like as a character? Did you have like it'd be cool to start as this and then end up in this like point in his life or in this story beat or anything like that? Did you have any preconceived notions about like where you would dream of taking a character or not?
I actually want him to become king of the pirates. No, I actually had no roadmap for him. It was like, towards the middle of it, I want to say just a little before me convincing Kaoken to do what he did. At that point, I was more like, John is kind of like, he somehow washed up to this. He's going to just write it out and see what the next thing takes him. He's like a dog. Once he catches a car, he doesn't know what to do with it.
God damn you. Yeah.
But it really was more like, no, what it's like that old question of what are you gonna be when you grow up? Like, fuck, I don't know. I don't know what to do today. I'll figure it out.
So that again, like all of this really speaks to, and unfortunately we didn't have, like, we weren't doing what we do now. Otherwise, I think we would be seeing a very interesting campaign of campaign 1. Like,
Yeah,
most of us were flying by the seat of our pants for most of that campaign, right? And so we know that version 2 John Ryder comes in because fucking we got Kaoken. We start talking about other characters and whatnot, and I know that you had expressed, like, I mean, I'd be willing to play John Ryder again. Why not?
Yeah, because you were talking about, Ken's there doing all that, and then I remember, Ken is there. Like, yeah, I wouldn't mind doing John just one more time, see where it goes.
That's awesome. So in V2, John Ryder, we see that he one of his goals from the first one that I kind of injected as like a here's something for your character to want to do in their downtime, with the Acheron hat and the Reaper Scythe ship and all that stuff, was okay. Now he's got it, becomes undead, and then basically does the Barbossa across the seas. And then now that you're being reintroduced, you lost all of that stuff, hence why you're no longer crazy powerful. Like, from that point, you had kind of, at that point, like, which was only several months ago, right? You had developed a bit of a knack for role play, a bit of a knack for like the RPGs that we've been playing and whatnot. At that point, did you have any idea where you wanted to take John, or was he still just chaos incarnate?
No, at that point it was more like just the way I envisioned, the way I'm still trying, the book I still have for him is that he did the things he didn't know he wanted to do, right? And he's been alive longer than he thought he would. He's done great heroics, and he's done horrible things, right? Like, what I want from him is like he basically murdered what was the guy's name, the captain,
Sunax.
He murdered him on a whim. He's more like, can I do it? Oh, yep, I did it.
And then he proceeded to do it, and it was just as simple as pulling a trigger. Yeah.
Like, at that point, it was really like he was getting bored. He was finally getting bored with really not facing any real consequences.
Right. So, funny enough, we see some consequences. Where we left off with John Ryder, which he's still alive, he's still relatively healthy. He survived the Tetsuo bomb that took the lives of 3 of his party members. From this point, like, do you have in your own headcanon, do you have like, what would John's next steps be from this point forward? Like, okay, my oldest friend is dead. And there's a very clear enemy that happened to it. Is there anything with that? You also have his introduction to Nigel, who he really only saw for like, a few hours in game, and then all of a sudden shit went pear-shaped. But like, what's next for John Ryder in your own headcanon, or until you play him again, rather?
Well, in my own headcanon, it is mainly like the direction I'm gonna take John from here on is definitely gonna be more like same thing. He was kind of still aloof because he had just lost power, and he's still bored, and he is starting to feel regret over some of the actions that he did. He was kind of comfortable because he was, he's traveling along with an old friend of his, right? He got a job. He thought he could do the job, failed to take the shot. Shit hit the fan 100 times over in a second, and then his old friend is dead. So, I mean, the direction I want to take him with is basically he kind of like got that wake up call, like, party's over. Right, you have to you got to get your shit together and do it right. And I would assume that John has not forgotten the deal that he, Kaioken, and the others met. So when he saw that, confirmed that, holy shit, he's dead. Holy shit, he's dead.
Yeah, that was my next question. So, like, from a metagame standpoint, like, spoiler alerts of last Saturday, the Lord of Hell made his presence known to at least Celia.
Yeah.
And is like, I'm coming for you guys, because it's time to collect. So that, having that knowledge, like, across his entire lifeline, including the shit that we didn't see between between campaigns and everything else, what's an adventure plot that in your head is something that we haven't seen? What's an adventure that John went on that we haven't seen him do? That maybe would be a one shot or something like that. All the way up to this point, because it's kind of being built up now, at least in my own head, of like, all right, the chickens are coming home to roost.
Yeah.
So it's time for reflection. What is something that we haven't seen John Ryder do yet that you think he did in your head?
That's actually something like, what would be really cool is, since John is he's a lich, undead. What if he's basically Marvel Comics? What if he's Deadpool and Wolverine to death, right? Always like you, because in the comics, Death is always flirting with Deadpool and Wolverine because they are always dying. Yet she can't claim them. So what if, like, for one adventure, kind of the first time since he made the deal, first time he died, but not really. Asmodeus kind of like was just there. His, John at the time still fucking around, going like, "Yeah, I'm dead, but I'm not. So you can't collect, jackass. I'll see you next Saturday." Like, he's probably been like fucking with him, always fucking him off, always showing his ass to him because he knows he's not really dead.
Oh man, I can't wait for that interaction.
So what I like to think is when he saw Kaioken dead, he kind of remembered going, "Oh fuck."
Yeah.
How many times did I flip him off?
So, speaking of which, so John Ryder currently canonically is still an active like character, right? He's an active like person. Would you be willing to play him again to potentially finalize like whatever ends up happening out of this? Because technically right now we're kind of on a side quest to get KOK back to then go back to the to you know what I mean, to do this whole thing.
Yeah, so, it's that basically like, you see the camera pan out for the main character and then boom, we go to another set of characters that's gonna like go
this
into
is the Lord of the Rings, and we've split the party, and now they're trying to get to Mordor while these ones over here are trying to, like that whole thing. So would you be willing to play him again, possibly at like a reduced level from where he was, because he was like 17 or 18 when we left off, because that was a huge battle with a lot of XP. But there's always ways to justify a bunch of shit in D&D. Would you be willing to play him again in the future?
Oh, absolutely. Like, I made this fucker. I have to see this story to its end, however it may come to.
Awesome. Well, that being said, damn. Holy shit! Are you guys hearing that? Sounds like she's cutting elephant toes. Like elephant toenails.
I was hearing snipping, so I'm like, it's probably some plant stuff.
So let's see. Was there anything else that you wanted to talk about with John Ryder? Any questions? Any frustrations? Anything at all? As kind of like a final thoughts, closing statement until we revisit his character in game.
Kind of like the whole backstory. It would be this is also responsible by me, but I would also kind of like keep fleshing out more of his past in between, the last session and then this one is him basically always being in contact with Asmodeus, always wanting him, knowing that he can't be killed. His crew that is still out there, I think they're still out there.
Mutineers.
Yeah. Basically, like, those small flashbacks. We get to see a John Akron in his prime doing things he could never have thought possible. That's really
being a real Barbosa.
Yeah.
Well, as far as that goes, I'm disinclined to acquiesce to your request. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Oh, no. But that is certainly something that we have infinite potential to explore. So I think that's where we can end it on John Ryder for now. Hopefully we can revisit him sooner rather than later. And yeah, I think this is gonna be, I think where John Ryder gets to is probably gonna be the same time, same place as where Celia's gonna get to, Kaioken's gonna get to, possibly Emiko is gonna get to, possibly Saul might even get to, but you'll have to wait for that episode to drop. Actually, by the time that this one gets onto YouTube, it will already have been Saul. So take a look. I think you'll enjoy it. But that's where we'll end that one.